Welcome to part 5 of our Bambu Labs series. Today we're going to be talking about painting objects and learning how to use all the different styles. Let's jump right in. Jumping right in, I have got my plant here and we are going to do a very simple 3-color paint on this object. So the first thing I want to do is select my colors, and I've got a couple of them in here already, but I want to select what color I want my planter to be. And I really kind of like this nice little cream beige color that we've got here. We'll say okay. And that's what we're gonna go with. So now we've got our colors here, our beige, brown for the dirt, and green for the leaves. I need to decide first which part of this object is the most difficult if I had to add details or paint. And so for this object, I definitely think these leaves of the snake plant are going to be much more difficult than the dirt or the pot itself. And again, keep in mind, this is a beginner tutorial, so trying to keep this as simple as possible. I'm going to pick the green color that I want, and I'm just going to grab the fill, and hopefully, if we can just click on this, it will fill. Okay, so I've got the object selected. I've got the leaves all green, and I've now got to paint the dirt in the pot. Now, there's a couple ways that I can do this, and it just really depends on kind of how I'm feeling or how detailed I need to get with this. So I'm going to go through some of these tools. So very basic is we have a circle, and I'm just going to choose the beige for a second so I can show you this circle, and you have your sizing, and you can paint on colors. The only problem with that is what I painted on is just right here. I'd have to keep rotating the object and keep painting on it until eventually I get it all the way through. But if I were to, like, let's say I do come across this top like this, I may have made a mistake in the fact that you could like accidentally get into here with it or something like that. So I am just going to undo that really quick. And just a simple Command Z or Control Z, whatever platform you're on. So that's your basic pen. The other option is more of a sphere. And so this is more 360 degrees of painting. So I'm going to go ahead over here and you can kind of see more what we're looking at here. I'm not just painting on the surface, I'm painting through the object. And so the sphere is coming in here, and I'll do another little spot right here on top as well, so you can see what that looks like. So again, it is coming through the actual object. So not only are you painting the surface, you're painting in depth. And it may actually show more up here where you can actually see that sphere coming through the object. The next one is the triangle. And this is painting using STL triangles, essentially. And very, very, it is just more tedious than anything. I actually can very rarely say I use this unless I was trying to maybe get like some fun details coming up this snake plant like that, where you would actually use something like that. Not my favorite tool. I don't use it a whole lot. So I'm going to undo that, and we'll undo the other options. The next option is a fill. And so maybe we'll try to do the dirt with a basic fill. And so you have a couple options. If I just grab the dirt color, and you notice there's no like actual option here, it's going to fill in anywhere that kind of hasn't been painted already. So it just filled everything that hadn't been painted. So I use fill sometimes when I create an area that I would like to fill. So if I were to, we'll undo that really quick. If I were to try to map this out, I may grab my basic tool here, the circle tool, and I'm going to make my view quite a bit smaller. And I may make a section in here and then use a fill, and it's only going to fill that section. So you can use it to create outlines and then fill them in. So that's one way I like to use a fill. The other way is just with simple edge detection. And this is a little bit more of a tedious process. So you have your angle. So if I just were to click here, it's only going to fill that little spot right there. If I were to bump this up to maybe 1 or 2, you can see it's filling bigger areas. If we get this up to 10, it's probably going to fill, if we look back at this, it's probably going to fill most of this object like this. So not quite what we're looking for. We'll undo that. But you can kind of play around with these settings. Maybe we'll drop this down to maybe 5. And hover. Oh, I'm still getting one of the leaves. So we'll go to 4. And oh, that looks okay. So we'll click there. And now you can see, hey, we've got dirt in here. And the next option is a gap fill. I actually don't use this very often. You can adjust your areas that you're trying to fill, and you can click on them and fill that way. Again, not my favorite way. So what I'm going to do is I've skipped over one of these, and we're going to use this to try to paint by essentially layer heights. So if I choose this, you'll see this area here. And if you notice, it is going to paint everything in that area that brown color. So the way that I'm envisioning painting this, we'll reset the view down here, is I want to paint everything below those leaves this brown color. So I'm going to try to figure out where it's at. So somewhere in there. Maybe we bump it up to there, and we're just trying to look and see what's filling in. You can see I've got it way too high up here. So we're going to undo that. Do that one more time. And it really is just a game of trying to figure out exactly where you're filling in. So we're just going to bring it down to there maybe. And there it looks like we've filled in all the dirt. So I feel like the dirt and the connection to the plant are going to be the hardest in this case. Now the next step is I'm actually going to use this and mostly do most of my work the rest of the time with this. Maybe we'll start here first. And we're going to get our beige color for our pot. I'm going to increase this a little bit bigger and just give myself a starting point and just simple clicks, pulling it down. And I'm going to turn this just a little bit just to make sure we get all the way to the bottom here with a basic click. And it seems like we've got that covered. And so I'm going to work now up this pot, and I'm going to try to find it where we're no longer on the dirt. So somewhere in there. And the rest of this is going to have to be hand painted. So now I'm going to grab my circle and make it a little bit bigger and zoom in as much as you can. And you're going to just have to hand paint these sections in. And this is where it gets super tedious. So I'm going to go ahead and hand paint this in, and then we'll look at the results here in just a second. Okay, so I ended up having a few issues cleaning this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back to our layers, and we're going to try to put this right at the base again. And I'm going to shrink this way down size-wise, so it'll be easier to clean up. We'll go to 1 millimeter-ish and set it somewhere right there. Okay, so now the inside's really clean. The outside is also really clean. I'm just going to go through and clean these up really fast and should be done with this. All right, I feel like that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just return this back here. And there you have it. There's our plant all painted. Looks pretty good. And only took about 10 minutes of actual painting time to make this look good. And I'm sure there's ways that you can speed this up, but for the most part, it's kind of just a tedious process to make something like this work. As always, drop a comment down below if you have any questions, and thank you for sticking to the end. It really means a lot and it helps the channel as we're starting to grow. If you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe this video, and we'll see you next time.